Welcome to the Well Built Business Podcast. I'm Chelsea Fournier, system strategist and founder of the Well Built Business Method. Now, I get it. Operations isn't the flashiest part of entrepreneurship. It's not the thing people usually want to focus on, but it is what will keep you in your zone of genius and away from burnout. But if you're a service provider or expert based business owner, and you've hit a point where you realize structure, clarity, and clean systems are actually what are going to unlock sustainable growth, you're in the right place. In each episode, we talk about what it takes to build a business that supports your life, not one that constantly drains it. I'm really glad you're here. Now, let's dive in. So, today we're going to be talking about something almost every entrepreneur I work with struggles with. They have no shortage of ideas, but taking those ideas, sifting through which ones you're going to work on, prioritizing what you're going to focus on now versus in the future, getting into action from those ideas that bubble up, it can feel like wading through mud. I was just on a call, just a networking call today, where a lovely woman who has amazing expertise and just launched her own business a couple months ago said, in her own words, I know that there's so many different things I could be doing. I have way more time freedom than I've ever had because she had been in corporate world before. And she's like, every day I sit down and I'm not quite sure what is a good use of my time to move the ball forward and really start achieving my goals that I've set. This is not uncommon. And here's the challenge is that in the online business space, you hear this advice over and over, like just get better at time management, use a better task management tool. You need Notion, you need ClickUp, you need Asana, you need a better, planner. Try this productivity hack, and as though it's about just getting more efficient so that you can fit everything in. And that might help some people. Maybe you truly are struggling with time management. This episode is not going to give you specific time management strategies because I don't believe it's the real problem. Most entrepreneurs don't have a time management problem, they have a priority and a protection problem. So it's more about discernment and then getting clear on what you're going to say yes and what you're going to say no to in this current season. And yes, if you've been listening to this podcast, of course, this is also for me going to tie in to the energetics and getting really clear on how you are intuitively moving forward, not only towards what logically and strategically, quote unquote, should work, but also what feels truly aligned, what feels authentic, and what really lands for you intuitively. Now, I just want you to think about the fact that you're not struggling to get things done because you can't manage a calendar. You're probably very successful in many areas of your life, and you didn't get there because you're completely inept, right? And I feel like sometimes, especially if you just scroll through Instagram and you see everybody is marketing to speak to the problem, to say, oh my gosh, you need my time management program. And they kind of bash your skills or abilities in that area to convince you that you need a shiny object to fix the very deep problem, right? That they're marketing to. And you're struggling because you're trying to do everything at once at the end of the day. Every new idea, opportunity, collaboration, email coming in, trend, right? If every single thing gets equal weight, gets equal time, gets equal mental load, equal energy from you, then yes, of course, everything is going to feel watered down. It's unclear what you should be moving forward with. And the days where maybe you do have a lot of time freedom, they start to just eat away and you don't really feel like you're necessarily moving forward. It's often the case that as business owners, we can say yes to things that sound exciting in the moment, but we've really got to start thinking about what is going to pull your energy away from the thing that you already have in motion, right? The result of trying to hold everything. I just want you to picture you've got your arms out and you just see more and more ideas and shiny objects and courses and planners, and they're just filling your open arms. If you can't decide what you're going to put down to hold only a couple things, it's going to start to lead to things like half-built offers or half-written content or something hanging out in ChatGPT that was a great idea that you haven't implemented, half-launched ideas, half-baked ideas, lots of motion, lots of busyness, but maybe not moving you in a momentum that's actually going towards the goals that you have. I want to really talk about the fact that this isn't a discipline issue. It's often a clarity and alignment issue. And I am speaking as someone who is neurodivergent, who has ADHD. And for most of my life, I have beat myself up thinking that I am just not disciplined, that I am not consistent, and seeing it as a character flaw. But what I am now embracing is that when I am discerning and clear on what I am and I'm not doing, my capacity to be more consistent is so much greater. But the shiny objects, the ADHD, the excitement about new things, that can absolutely drain me and take me away from how I truly want to be, which is consistent and motivated and disciplined. It's extremely challenging as a creative entrepreneur. So, the entrepreneurs that you see, maybe you follow some people on social media or your colleagues that you connect with or people in a mastermind that you're in. When you watch those who move from idea to action quickly, they've nailed something. It's not that they're better at juggling or they're better at managing their calendar. They're better at saying no or no thank you. They put blinders on, not because they're rigid, but because they've decided what matters right now and they protect that decision. Now, I do a lot of work with people around business planning, right? So, my Rooted VIP Day, if you've ever heard me talk about it, we do an intuitive, energetic reading. We drop in to really connect to your alignment and what feels right first. And then we plan out for the next 90 days what your number one priority is, your top goals. We get super clear from an operations standpoint how you're going to turn that into an action plan that will make it inevitable that the goals that you've set will come true. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. But you know what I don't do in those VIP days? I don't allow you to map out 47 different tasks that are going to require learning curve or new software or starting from scratch or scrapping something that's already working but isn't as exciting to you anymore, right? It's truly about choosing the 2 to 3 things that will actually create momentum in this season. And I use the term season. I like to think about 90-day seasons, 90-day runs, 90-day cycles, because I truly believe when you have consistently expansive and focused 90 days that accumulate, that like bump into each other, that each have their own priority and goals and plan, you see way more momentum than you do if you do what most business owners do, which is set a really big goal at the beginning of the year, New Year's resolution, buy a new planner, and then it starts to wane, right? And this process, whether you do exactly 90-day seasons or not, this process of creating priorities and then protecting those priorities by really committing to what you're saying yes and no to, it's about giving yourself permission to ignore the rest. Just ignore it temporarily, right? And this can feel very unsexy. It can feel unsettling. It can feel at tension with what you're hearing in the greater business space. But it's my truth, and so I share it as truth, is that momentum truly comes from focused, sustained energy on a small number of priorities, not from spreading yourself thin across every good idea that you have. Now, here's where I take maybe that deeper lens on this productivity conversation. I just want you to imagine. I want you to think back and connect with what it felt like recently when you had an idea that lit you up. Maybe you had an idea while you were out on a walk, or when you were in the shower, or during a really excited conversation with a friend about your business, and something dropped in maybe, and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is such a great idea, right? You can feel that energy about it. You're ready to move. I'm thinking about one for myself, and I'm literally getting chills just even in this moment. That window of energetic alignment is real, and it doesn't stay open forever, and it tends to close when you then start to lay a bunch of shoulds on top of it. So you have this great idea, maybe it's to launch a membership that you're super passionate about, and then immediately start piling on, well, I should figure out how to do YouTube because I've heard people sell memberships really well from YouTube, or I should get better at my hooks, or I should hire someone to do SEO for my website, or I should join that networking group that I've been saying. And all of those shoulds, I want you to picture them as weights, and they're coming down onto your shoulders. And that weight of all the shoulds compresses the amount of energy that you had that was lighting you up and making your shoulders feel expansive and tall and confident, right? If you don't protect that energetic alignment and the ability to move from idea to action and to protect what that zone of genius is, the momentum can fade. We've all been there. Doubt starts to creep in. Oh, I don't know. Memberships aren't really selling anyways. I had 2 friends that launched a membership. It didn't go well. Maybe people wouldn't even like to be in a group experience with me. You can start to let that doubt and just downplay that maybe it wasn't a good idea anyway. And that idea joins the graveyard of things I was going to do. And for many of us now, it hangs out in an AI chat thread that you're not going to revisit. And this is why being honest about your priorities and your capacity truly matters so much. And I talk about capacity a lot with VIP Day clients because in each 90-day cycle, there's likely a shift in capacity. I'm recording this in the month of June. It happens to be a week where my son's outdoor school was canceled unexpectedly for some very interesting reasons, but it's been a week where I'm like, wow, I thought I would have a really high capacity this particular week to be working on a project, and it just hasn't happened. But we can typically, without the unforeseen circumstances or the school closures that we can't control, we can usually sit down on any given day and look out about 90 days, about 3 months, and know some patterns that are going to be happening. Whether it's that you've got vacation, maybe you're getting married, maybe the kids are going to be out of school, maybe seasonally you're more creative in the summer. You can really tune into what your calendar says and what you know about yourself, and you can make an estimate of what your capacity is going to be. Now, if you're excited about something and it matches up with a season where you have fairly good capacity, amazing. But what I want you to understand is that even if you have that exciting idea and you feel like you're stepping into a season where you're not going to have as much capacity, if you protect the idea and creating goals that stem from getting that idea out into the world and taking action, you can still create momentum even if you know you're going to have less time or less energy because you're saying no to other things. So it's not always about time management. It's not always about just getting better at managing your inbox, stuff like that. Those are always helpful. I'm a systems gal at heart, so I get it. But clearing space truly comes from an energetic place first to be all in and committed to bringing something out to the world. When you get honest about your priorities, one of the biggest paradigm shifts is that as business owners, we often feel that what we are deciding today is forever, or for the next 3 years, or, oh my gosh, once I launch this membership, I'm going to have to run it until the end of time. Okay. What I want you to focus on is that for the next 90 days, what does it look and feel like to stay protective of this idea and bringing it out into action for the next 90 days? Getting radically honest about your capacity sometimes is an uncomfortable situation. This is why it's often hard to do it ourselves and why I really hold people in this container of the VIP Day, because really looking at how many hours do you realistically have? How much energy do you have for building something new versus maintaining what's already working? We can often really build up how much we think we're going to be able to do in a short amount of time. Have you ever been there? But when you can be held to getting honest about your expectations, what's realistic to accomplish in the time you have with the resources you have right now, magic can truly start to happen. When you get clear, for me, this has been my method for years and years and years, and it sounds simple. And if you just hear this and you're like, oh, that resonates with me, I'm going to try that. Amazing. For most people, they truly need to be supported through doing this one time, maybe 2 times, because it's different muscle memory than what we're used to. But really getting so clear on one priority, 3 specific goals that support that priority. It's creating almost this like hierarchy and infrastructure. And then taking each of those goals and brain dumping. What are the actions that need to fall under there? Then starting to get ruthless on like, what do I really have to do versus what could be automated? What could be delegated? Stepping into that operations, like CO mode of your business. What's really lovely to witness and support in VIP days is that it truly can be this beautiful dance to go from getting energetically aligned, getting that clarity, feeling like, wow, this feels so inevitable that what I want to have can come to fruition. And then switching gears into the left brain and being guided through questions specifically to map out your hyper specific plan that doesn't feel overwhelming, it feels inevitable. That can all happen in the course of half an afternoon. It's just really lovely to watch. This is exactly what we do in a Rooted VIP day. We get clear on your priorities, your capacity. We have honest conversations, just you and me, about your realistic expectations, what patterns you might need to be releasing. And then from there, we build a 90-day plan around what's actually true right now. So, how it all breaks down, we actually start our time together with an energy reading. So, we're not just planning from your head. You don't just come in kind of verbally vomiting where you think you're at in your business. We drop in. We drop in for typically between 35 and 45 minutes. We connect with your higher self. We call in energetic guidance from any wise and well ancestors, from the energetic imprint of your business, from basically anything from spirit that is meant to drop in that is truly for your highest and best as the shepherd, as like the person running this business, right? And from there, we sometimes drop into past lives, sharing messages, oracle cards, muscle testing. I've got all kinds of little tools in my toolbox of energy, and whatever's meant to come forward comes forward. It's truly a magical experience. So if you are someone who is open to the spiritual side of yourself, to your intuition coming into how you run and lead your business, that's why we start there. Then we take a short break, we get some water, we move our bodies for a couple of minutes, and we come back. And then I guide you through a process that is proven to really help you distill now that you feel grounded. Now that you're not brainstorming 100 shoulds that you scrolled and saw last night. Now that we're being really honest, okay, what are the milestones you want to work towards? What is the number one priority that if this priority could come to fruition, you would feel like things were really going in the right direction? I coach you on how to articulate it. We talk about messaging, how you're going to write a mantra for yourself. We really help you to step into an embodiment of that priority and make sure it really lands and integrates. From there, then we go through all my left brain questions. I step into being your COO and really holding your feet to the fire to say, okay, what's the plan? How are we going to do it? What are the goals? What are the actions? How's this all going to work? And the overarching feedback is that everyone who books me for this type of session says, I never thought that what I want to happen could feel so inevitable. It just feels like this should come true because I'm so clear on what I'm going to be doing. Now, if you listened to episode 6, you heard a full breakdown of how a Rooted VIP day flows, so I won't go much more into the details. I'll link that in the show notes. But if you're sitting here right now with a dozen ideas and no clear path for which one you're going to move forward on, let me say that this is your sign. I only allow 2 spots per month for Rooted VIP day availability. I'm recording this in June. In the month of August, there will be no bookings for longer calls on my calendar. And then I'll be picking back up again in September. So if you're exploring if I have availability before August 2026 or even after, if you're listening to this later on, I would encourage you to explore. If you have questions, if your time availability doesn't quite match up with mine, reach out. I'm available by email. DM me wherever you can find me. And I encourage you, if you step into a VIP day, just come with your ideas. Know that you can come with the questions and the uncertainty and the verbal vomit if you need to. But what you're going to do is you're going to leave with a plan that truly feels like it maps out an inevitable path that is rooted in who you are, honest about your expectations, your capacity, and moving you into true momentum for the next 90 days. If that sounds like a great fit for you, I would love to connect. If this episode supported you in some way, opened your mind, got you brainstorming, I would genuinely appreciate if you left a review. It helps more founders who are ready for this level of work actually find the show. And if someone specific came to mind while you were listening, send it to them. The best businesses are built in rooms where people share what's actually working with each other. If you do share this episode onto social media, I'd love to see your takeaway. So make sure to tag me, Well Built Business, on most accounts so I can connect with you and reshare it. The Well Built Business podcast isn't about doing more, it's about building better. And I'm really glad you're here. I'll see you next week.